good morning everyone. Thank you for being here today for the multi-memorial service to honor the people who passed away in the month of August. It was really interesting because a couple days ago I was in Waikiki because we had a work-related conference, and like right in the back of Sheraton Waikiki you can see a beautiful diamond head. And every time I see diamond head, it reminds me of an ocean ash scattering we did back in 2022, or 4 years ago, for a good friend of mine, and we did it via Konko Kyo. It was a Konko Kyo ash scattering, and that was the first time me and Sensei went on a canoe and sailed, went further into the ocean, like right in front of Diamond Head, and scattered the ashes of a loved one, my friend's father actually. And so every time I look at Diamond Head, I think of the father, and I took a picture, and I sent that picture to my friend. And I was like, and I told her, like, oh, I'm right in front of like Diamond Head, and every time I see Diamond Head, it reminds me of your dad. And I didn't even realize it, but the very next day was actually his Memorial Day. Yeah, in Japan. So August 23rd in Japan time, which is yesterday, was the actual day that the father passed away. So I was like, because my calendar reminded me on my phone. And so I was like, wow, that's special. And I texted the picture to the wife of the deceased and also to my friend. And they were happy to get that reminder. And I thought that was really interesting. And then we just called his name today and offered a tamaguchi on his behalf. So in little ways and big ways, I believe that the Mikama-sama is always watching out for us, protecting and guiding us, and wishing for our happiness. So our duty as people who are alive in physical form is to continue to remember them. Because I think a few days ago I saw this scientific article, and it mentioned about this one lady who actually died for 8 minutes. She was dead. But she came back to life. And when she came back to life, she said, wow, death is just an illusion, she said. It's like basically an out of body experience. So she knew she was dead because she was out of her body, she said. But she saw her dead body and everybody was grieving. But her spirit was still alive. And she was like, wow, so this is what death is like. And when she was in that state of like out of body, she said there was no like time, like no like sense of time. She was just present in the now state, and she thought it was the most interesting thing ever. And she felt so peaceful, no pain, no feelings of sorrow, suffering. It was just the most peaceful feeling ever. And then she came back into her body again, and she was back into her life. So I was like, oh, that's kind of exactly what Konko Daijin did mention, that death really is nothing to fear. So that was really interesting. And there were many people's recollections of having died once and coming back to life, and they're all really, really similar. Like they see like a bright light, and they feel very peaceful, but their body is like dead, but their spirit is still alive. It's really interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to feel that. And I want to really, really thank each and every one of you that we were able to safely hold the Konko Missions in Hawaii Centennial. We officially turned 100 years old. We were able to celebrate at the Ko'olau Ballroom in Kaneohe. I want to thank everyone who prayed, helped, supported, and somehow got us through the Centennial. And when I look back on everything, I can say it was no ordinary event, because this whole year wasn't an ordinary year. It was like, you know, our sixth Konko-sama, Reverend Hiromichi Konko, he wrote this calligraphy just for our event, and KCNA KMH event, World Peace. Sekaiを笑顔に, meaning embrace the world with smiles. But it's like this year, it was like smile was like the last thing on my mind. It was like a lot of suffering, a lot of things not going right, and even planning for the Centennial event, because I was in the planning committee. I was like the co-chair. It was really hard, and I was like, oh my goodness, how am I supposed to deal with these people, and so many disagreements, and I felt a lot of hardship actually. But this was all very relevant, this calligraphy that someone wrote for us. And even like the day of our centennial, Hurricane Lala was supposed to hit us, and I've been watching Hurricane Lala like a hawk ever since it was starting to form in the Pacific Ocean. I was watching it almost every hour. And even one day before the event, I was very nervous. I was like, what if they cancel, the venue cancels? Because if the venue cancels, we really can't do anything other than go to Honolulu Church and have the service there. But I was like, as long as the venue doesn't close, I am willing to like tank my way through Ko'olau in the rain, the wind, and the thunder to be there. And then thankfully, after, on that morning, when Clayton and I went there early to set up, it was actually quite pleasant. It wasn't raining horribly. And after we passed through the H3 tunnel, it was like not even raining. It was a little bit foggy, but the greenery was beautiful. And like almost everybody that went driving through that detour was mentioning how beautiful the drive was. And it was just amazing. The whole program went smoothly. And I was in the ceremony part too, so I was like sitting right there, and when Konko-sama and the wife came up to offer their tamagushi, I felt this interesting energy, and it was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe Konko-sama is like right there, within touching distance almost, in front of us, offering this tamagushi in Hawaii for our centennial. It's like a miracle, 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 miracle. And hontoni, I thought his energy was really, really amazing. And I'm really thankful also for Reverend Michio Hiyasake of Amagi Church and his wife, and the two other senses that came from Japan for the Amagi entourage. And it's because really of Amagi Church prayers and the service that we can have our centennials. So I was praying and praying and praying that the hurricane wouldn't come, and it was almost like I was looking at the satellite images, and the path that the Hurricane Lala took was so interesting. It was like it was taking its sweet time in the Big Island area, like just inching our way just slowly towards Oahu. And then right after Centennial ended, that evening is when the rain came, the strong winds, the blackouts, and then that's when, like, as soon as that Centennial ended, it's like the path, the route of the hurricane became faster. It's like, okay, now I'm coming to you guys. So I was like, oh man, in the nick of time, Kami-sama really made things go smoothly. So I want to go back to the feeling you get being so near Konko-sama. And it was something I noticed this time. It was like a special kind of like a calming energy. And although I had a lot of anxiety and like some negative feelings with the planning and everything, it was like as if Konko-sama was a giant eraser, and he erased those feelings of negativity. And it was just really, really interesting. And while Konko-sama was here, me, Clayton, and my brother Rodney, we had a really, really very rare, this will never happen in our lives ever again probably, opportunity to take Konko-sama's family and the other senses around the island. That is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing this. And it's like traveling with them around the island, so many like miracles, big and small. It's like they wanted to go see the King Kamehameha statue in downtown. Because originally that wasn't part of the plan, the part of the schedule, but impromptu they wanted to do that. But it was raining, and I forgot my umbrellas. And I was like, oh, I don't want him to get wet. He's Konko-sama, he's like our Pope. I don't want him to get wet. And it's so rude that I didn't even have my umbrella with me. I felt so bad. And I was praying, but it's so interesting. Clouds are great now, raining. As soon as they come out of the van, stops raining. And Clayton's a witness too. And then the gray clouds above the King Kamehameha statue, it just cleared. And then you see blue patches. And it's sun shining all of a sudden, like a spotlight. And they're able to give a vow to King Kamehameha. And they took a nice picture. And then they returned back in the van. Started to rain again. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And even going to this one like parking lot structure, I had like I think it was on Beartania from Nuuanu Avenue, and I had to literally cross 5 lanes to get into that parking structure, because that parking structure was like right there. Like as soon as I turned, I wish the parking structure was further down so I could safely cross lanes, and then get safely into the parking structure. But I was like, turn a little bit right, and it was like right there. So I was like, no, this is gonna be an impossible, impossible pass. However, at that exact time, there was no cars coming to the left of me. All 5 lanes, no cars. And then I was able to make this pretty much like diagonal crossover, all 5 lanes into the parking structure. And even like the sensei, the Gohonbu sensei sitting in our car, were like, oh my gosh, I would be dead. And we had a big laugh. And I was like, you know what, that was, what happened just now was a miracle, because never would it be like no cars, and like I could never like pass through. So I was like, it's like really, really amazing events that ensued. So I'm gonna go back to this theme over here. World peace, Sekaiを笑顔に. Sekaiを笑顔に is what the 6th Konko-sama wrote for us for the Centennial Celebration. And it means may smiles fill the world, or we could understand it as may the world be filled with smiles. And at first it sounds like a simple message. And when we think of world peace, we think, oh, the government, wars, countries, be all peace. But those things are important too, but what really matters is peace within ourselves, peace within the immediate people we interact with, our family members. You, me, our homes, churches, workplaces, families, and the ordinary interactions we have with one another. Those are very important, and that really contributes to the world peace. So how do we greet people? When somebody needs help, do we help them? Do we speak kindly within our family members? Or when we're irritated or angry, what kind of words come out of our mouth? Do we treat people with respect? Do we treat others with respect? Do we treat things with respect? And importantly, do we treat our own selves with respect? And all these little small things, they affect the feelings of the people around us. Yeah? Because one smile can really change somebody's future. When we make one person feel good, even if it's a stranger, your simple smile, your simple greeting, that feeling may not necessarily stop with just that one interaction you had. That person might be feeling good the whole day just because that one smile that you gave them. And then they feel appreciated and validated. And that person then goes home feeling a little bit more lighter. And because they feel a little bit better, maybe they're more patient with their spouse or with their children. Yeah? And maybe they're a little bit more kinder to their child. And then maybe because that child receives a little bit more kindness from their parent, they go to school feeling a little bit more happier. And then because they feel happy, they can treat their peers with a little bit more kindness. So I may never see any of that, and we may never know where that one act of kindness went. But negativity also can travel in the same way. So we need to keep that in mind. So that's why I don't think that 世界を笑顔に is simply just a beautiful saying. It's something we can actually practice in our daily life. And I really want to try to fill this world with smiles, one smile at a time, one kindness act at a time. So another amazing thing that I want to share with this whole centennial event is Konko-sama actually visiting our church. And this is the second time that our Wahiawa church, this small little church in Wahiawa, was able to welcome the spiritual head of Konko Kyo for a second time. That is unheard of. Konko-sama doesn't even visit regular churches in Japan. And he visited our church twice. And 26 years ago, his father visited our church. Just one day apart. So on August 17, year 2000, his father, Konko-sama's father, came to visit us. And 26 years later, just one day later, the sixth Konko-sama. The really amazing part that I really liked about when Konko-sama came, the sixth Konko-sama came, was he sat at the okekai desk, or like not a desk, but he sat at the seeker seat. I wasn't expecting that, because usually when high-ranking sensei comes to our church, they send their wives. It's some kind of hierarchy thing. I don't understand. And I even asked my parents. I said, why don't the head minister sit there? Why does he make the wife sit there instead and not the actual head minister? And they're like, I don't know, maybe they feel a little bit maybe superior to like the actual sensei that's sitting here. No idea. But the sixth Konko-sama, along with his wife, sat here, and Yano sensei was sitting here. And the first words that came out of his mouth was, Konko-sama, arigatou gozaimasu. Konko-sama, arigatou gozaimasu. That's what he said. And he gave thanks for his trip, the safety of his trip all the way up to this moment. That really warmed my heart. It probably wouldn't have mattered if I was sitting there. Like, I could have been sitting there, and Konko-sama would have still sat there. That's the kind of energy I felt. He wouldn't be like, oh, Edna's sitting here, I'm just gonna have my wife here. That kind of respect, it really, really touched my heart. It really did. And I was like blown away. Here was the sixth Konko-sama himself, showing respect and gratitude toward the sacred place called Toritsugi. And then I thought about who was spiritually present behind Yano Sensei. It was Ikiyami Konko Daiji-sama, the founder. It was the second Konko-sama. It was the third Konko-sama. It was the fourth Konko-sama. It was his father, the fifth Konko-sama. All sitting in the seat where Yano Sensei was sitting. So in my heart, it felt as though that they were all welcoming the sixth Konko-sama. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And that's why Konko-sama was able to say, arigatou gozaimasu, Konko-sama. So he understood and respected the sacredness of that place, not who was sitting there. And actually, he was actually respecting the person sitting there too. To be able to do that, he was respecting the person too, as an agent of Konko-sama. It wasn't about who was more important. It was about the faith. It was about the gratitude, the Toritsugi, and Kami-sama. So that experience gave me another way of understanding Konko-sama's message. Peace doesn't come from trying to prove that, hey, we're more important than somebody else. We're all equal. We're all important. And sometimes maybe all we need is a little bit of that giant eraser that Konko-sama was of negativity. It's like his presence being here, it just erases my negativity. So in conclusion, the Centennial Program events concluded really smoothly. And it's like almost like a big wedding was done. Like this whole wedding event is done, and you feel that sense of like relief and like, oh, yokatta. I'm glad it ended in one piece. And everybody was able to fly home safely, go home safely from the event. Biggest blessing ever. Okay? So as we begin the next 100 years of Konko-kyo in Hawaii, I hope we can carry Konko-sama's message with us. Hope we can do our small parts every day to smile a little bit more, be a little bit more thankful, be a little bit more kinder in our lives, and with gratitude, I hope we can continue moving forward to the next 100 years of Konko Missions in Hawaii. And the people around us can, one act at a time, be a little more kinder, be a little bit more happier, and the smile eventually spreading throughout the world into the next century. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attendance. Edna mentioned the Konko's visit to Washington. It was supposed to be discreet visitation of Konko. From the message, go home headquarters, do not put anything for his visitation. These are the kind of discreet, not openly published visit. So I thought that was the nature of his visit, but I'm going to talk about this later on. Actually, I went to attend the 100th anniversary of KCA, Konko Church of North America, held in August 12th. I lived here on 9th, January 10th in the morning, and I stayed at the Rodman house and attended the San Francisco anniversary. Same thing happened even at the San Francisco church. Konko-sama sits over there and goes to the place. This is quite drastic action I've never seen, unprecedented, unthinkable in Japan. Even the Konko's visit of local functions in Hawaii, KCA, even the local church visit, unthinkable. Well, this happened twice in local church in Hawaii. The reason I thought okay, this kind of maybe coming some testing of a minister. How do we interpret Konko's visit and how we the act of Konko's. Actually, when I was in San Francisco, one of the ministers was hospitalized, very critical condition. And Konko-sama went to see him at the hospital. This is unprecedented, unbelievable. Actually, Konko-sama responded to see him. And at that moment, before Konko-sama visit, I went, when Rodney took me to see him. He was about to die. His eyes are half closed, voice was very weak. And after seeing Konko-sama, he took some of the body science. His voice was very strong. He could sit down like
sit up.
Sit up. It's such a drastic change I could identify. And the sensei said, Konko-sama, behind Konko-sama, he would identify the first Konko-sama, first three Konko, and the second Konko-sama, and the founder. He did not see just the Konko-sama, but he identified the presence of the sixth generation Konko. That was his first message came to me. And the same thing could happen over here. Before the minister was here, Konko-sama might have identified the first Konko-sama, first Konko-sama, third generation, second generation, the founder at work. This is my interpretation. Otherwise, how can the head of the organization could be a local minister? It is impossible. But he could clearly identify the line of Konko. Then I can understand exactly. Actually, the first Konko-sama said, I often quote message this not exactly message. Those who are policemen, nurse, doctors, school teachers, shop owners, clerks, get into Konko office, practice Konko office. And the Konko believer, become work as a nurse, as a doctor, as a school teacher, as shop office worker. The difference. So Konko believer do something. Even the Konko-san was the head of the organization, Kyoshu. I also serve as their priest, as a one believer. And the same thing, the same message I can find in the Japanese this one. 生きる力の贈り物。First I want to read in Japanese. 教会の娘が結婚が決まり、母と二人でお礼に参拝お会いした。Daughter of church, accompanied by her mother, greeted Konko sama in appreciation. Then mother said, この度娘が教会に嫁ぐことになる。This time, my daughter is getting married to the church. Then Konko-sama responded abruptly. 何？嫁ぐなた？違うじゃろう。今の教会で声をさせていているのが、今度は別の教会に声をいただくのではないか。嫁に行くのではない。一信奉者として声をいただいておるのに変わりはないがな。She has been served at the local church, and the same thing happened to the place she get married. As a one Konko believer, served at the new place, new church. わしも一信奉者、教師も信者もありません。神様が見ればみんな一信奉者だ。そこのところを間違いようにしないか。I'm also one of the believers. There shall be no difference between ministers and lay people. We are all the believers of Kami-sama from the Kami-sama point of view. You shall never make mistake about this aspect. The Konko-sama message. So the same thing happened even to the Konko-sama visit. So I've been saying, try to live as Konko believer, get engaged in any way any line of work. And I also share the same message at the KCNA impress of Konko Mission, Chief Administrator of KMH. Both our faith communities in North America and Hawaii commemorate the centennial of the operation of the Konko office, which was initiated by the visitation of the Reverend Kokichi Katashima from Japan in 1926. He was interested in learning about the activities of the Japanese religious communities, including Konko believers in the eastern region of mainland in Hawaii. During his visitation, he learned that there were already two Konko faith communities in Seattle. Following the visit of the Reverend Katashima, the Seattle Konko Missions was established. It also witnessed the formation of Mamichikai in Tacoma, Los Angeles, and Hawaii. These Mamichikai faith in the mainland and Hawaii eventually developed into the Konko faith community we have today, sustained through 100 years of endeavors by ministers and believers. Through my half century of service to Kami-sama in Hawaii, conclusion I have come to is simple: live the Konko believers under any circumstances. The continued existence and operation of our local faith community depends upon Konko believers who truly live their faith. The work of church cannot be sustained by ministers alone. It continues because they are believers who practice teachings in their daily lives and carry the faith forward from one generation to the next. As we commemorate our 1 year, my wish is also simple. I want to witness the continued growth of Konko faith communities made up of people who live the faith, both in the Konko Church of North America and in Hawaii. May we continue together as Konko believers, live our faith under any circumstance, and carry this path forward into the next 100 years. It's my message. Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。Gami Konko, Kinchi, Kanchi, Kinchi, Wahiawa, Koni, Konko,
Sincerely, with all your heart, you want me to Kami's blessings begin within, grateful and caring, harmony and joy. Good to Kami always, now and forever. Amen.
Number one.
Page
Page 165.
number 23. Okay, first paragraph.
Yamamoto Sadajiro, 23. People often say that if a wife and her mother-in-law get along well, everyone will rave about it. Regardless, the wife and her mother-in-law must get along well to avoid family disharmony. While the wife is pregnant, kindly tell her it must be difficult being pregnant. According to Konko-sama's teaching, by reforming your heart during pregnancy, you can look forward to the future. Those practicing faith should always keep an amulet around their heart. Unless the child with a strong character, healthy body, and righteousness heart is born and grows up to take honor over the family occupation, you won't feel at ease.
if there is no one who will hold memorial services for me after I die, I'll have no joy. If the grandchild is not above average, the effort of a grandparent and parents to raise the child would be in vain.
Konko-sama also gave the teaching. During pregnancy, be careful not to scar the child's heart. It is a mother-in-law's duty to ensure that her daughter-in-law's heart doesn't get tarnished. Giving birth with an untarnished heart is the daughter-in-law's duty. So please do your best. You can't say these things while you are angry. If you say these things in anger, your daughter-in-law will think you are scolding her, and there will be no effect.
24. Whenever your wife gave birth, your family, not knowing about praying to Kami-sama, buried and reburied the afterbirth several times in different places according to the auspices of the lunar calendar, but hereafter decide on only one place for burying or bury it in a cemetery. 2. You only hope for a konjin's absence and nothing else. Henceforth, as you should reform the heart to pray to Kami-sama. As for me, I had to make 7 graves, 2 of which were for my oxen, thinking that I shouldn't be suffering from such misfortunes. I prayed to Kami-sama and started to practice faith. After a while, I began to receive teachings directly from Kami. I am now passing on these teachings to the people who come to worship. You too should strive to have people call you a very pious person.
25. When a woman practices true faith, she can conceive without other people noticing it. She can also have a childbirth unnoticed by those living in the next room. If she is grateful to such blessings from Kami-sama, Kami will be happy as well as she. Women who follow my teachings and want to quickly become a good example for others have true faith.
26. When a woman practices faith, her parents will tell her not to pray to Kamis and Buddhas during menstruation. People therefore don't realize the divine grace of Kami. 2. Since more things need to be washed during menstruation and childbirth, people use the water which flows underground. They put the waste water in earthen bins and bury them in the ground. The washed clothes is dried by the warmth of the sun. No one teaches the principle behind this profound grace, and no one knows about giving respect and thanks to Tenshi Kanen no Kami.
Women cannot have their menstruation in childbirth when they depend on Kami-sama's divine blessings. Henceforth, apologize to all your irreverences, give your request, and ask permission to dry your clothes in a place convenient for you. People refrain from worshiping other Kami-samas during their menstruation or childbirth. However, by not worshiping Tenchi Kanen no Kami in such emergencies and receiving divine blessing, nothing can come to fruition.